Hey there, it's JohnBurry555 and welcome to my full review of Star Wars The Bad Batch Season 2, Episode 13, Pabu. So to begin with, let's just address how in my predictions I was wrong that Pabu would be a person, instead it was a place, and I was also wrong that somehow a threat from the Empire showed up, rather it was a threat from nature. But, as I mentioned in my spoiler-free review, that was a good thing. It was good. It gave the batch a time to truly reflect on, hiding from the Empire and cutting contact with Sid, and potentially another way of doing it. And this episode saw the return of Fee Genoa, I think is how you say her last name, but it doesn't really matter. We got her character returning. And way back in the episode, not The Crossing, the episode of The Crossing, I forget the exact episode's title, but I had predicted that maybe Fee would save her and she would be a more reliable ally to the Bad Batch than Sid. Well, it turns out I made that prediction a bit too soon because it's coming to fruition in this episode, because Fee's the one who directs the Bad Batch to a settlement known as Pabu. I'm not sure the name of the planet, it's just called Pabu as well. But the small island is an upper and lower Pabu. It's basically presented as a tropical paradise. Of course, here's me during this entire episode thinking, what's going to happen? Something's going to happen to destroy this little piece of paradise. Ends up not being the Empire like I was expecting, but it does end up being nature. But I'm getting kind of ahead of myself there. But might as well just get ahead of myself and talk about what's everything going on in the episode. So the episode opens, because we need to talk about the recap and what sets us all up, is the batch is helping Fee with a negotiation for some kind of artifact. And then it's a worthless piece of artifact, but it's not, because it's culturally significant. In some ways, this provides some nice context on, well, how something like us Westerners may dismiss as insignificant because it's not Western, it's not American or whatever. And you can get that in the other way. There's probably some Japanese people who see a piece of American art and they're like, that's nothing. Chinese, Russians, Kenyans, Nigerians, doesn't matter. No matter where you're from, there's always this, some chicken from another culture that you dismiss as worthless. But that means something to the people who made it, or from the culture of the people who made it. It means something to them. It's a reminder of home. And as it turns out, a lot of the artifacts that Fee is liberating, the term she uses, she's bringing to Pabu, and it basically goes into a museum that sounds like every citizen, every resident of Pabu can visit. And because most of the residents there are refugees, they're escaping the Empire or something, probably some from the Clone Wars too, but just a place where refugees have come to find a home. So this central place, like the center of the town is literally, granted it's on a hill, but still the center of this town at the top of the hill is basically a museum housing all these artifacts, these cultural artifacts that most people regard as insignificant, but mean something to these people, because it could be all that's left of their culture, all that reminds them of the home. Like, it means something to them. It's culturally important. Maybe not monetarily important, but it's culturally important. But Fee brings a batch there, and she confirmed that she's never told Sid about this place. So that's all she's showing, that that Fee is gonna be a better ally, a better friend, a friend of the Bad Batch than Sid, who, she's a good ally, but don't get on her bad side. And the Bats kind of have got on the bad side. But cutting contact for, they're literally just cutting contact cold turkey. So hoping she thinks they're dead. Like, I mean, but so, and one important thing that Fee brings up is that Omega needs children her own age, to have a life other than being on the run. And that's, it was shortly after saying that in the message from Sid, basically threatening the Bad Batch, that Fee gives them the coordinates to Pabu, and they go there. And of course they meet the mayor's daughter, all that, and Fee, sorry, Omega and the mayor's daughter, whose name I forget, they click, I mean, there's one moment where Hunter says that he hadn't seen Omega laugh like that in a long time, like, and you can definitely tell Hunter's thinking, like, this may not be a good place to stay safe. Still kind of like, they need to realize they're going to need to fight the Empire at some point. It's going to happen. But he's seeing that this is a place where Omega can grow up. can just be a kid, doesn't have to, always be looking over the shoulder, worry about if the Empire's after them or somebody else. Some place to be safe, and a place to even help out. Because, as I mentioned earlier, the lower Pabu is destroyed by basically a tsunami. There's some tremors and the water, the tide recedes, comes back, and it's destroyed. And Hunter and Tech mainly, I wonder why. I think Tech is finally picking up on the fact that V is flirting with him. I think he's finally picking up on that fact. Um, but so they both like, yeah, we can stay a little bit to help you guys rebuild. And probably both of them were thinking more so, maybe more than just stay to help rebuild, potentially, good place to set it down. But also, here's me in the back of my head. Looks like a new status quo is being set up. A good status quo for the Bad Batch. So that means it's going to get destroyed. I'm afraid of that, but at the same time, it's like, one of the questions that Hunter asked the mayor was, what if the Empire shows up? And, of course, the mayor's response was, we're a small, insignificant island with no resources, and we're quite resilient. So not saying, like, they would never bother us, but why would they bother us? But if they did, we're resilient. And then we saw that resilience with them, dealing with that tsunami, that wave, helping the entire town evacuate. While only property was damaged, all the residents were evacuated to Upper Pabu, where they would be safe from the wave. And like that's showing community. And it really shows that this is a good community, but also means that when the Empire does come, because they probably will, because the Batch is there now, it's not going to be as good for them. But at the same time, the Batch is there, so if the Empire came, the Batch will probably help defend the town, which, is something to consider too. I mean, that's one way of helping the Empire, by helping protect the people who have fled the Empire. I'm just saying. But going back with Omega and the mayor's daughter, after dinner they go out boating basically, because, hey, it's a nice peaceful area, and also Hunter sees that Omega's interested and that's to do it. And then, but because they're out there when the water recedes for the wave, but Hunter rescues them using their ship, and it's basically a happy ending, something that we have not truly seen for the Bad Batch. Of course, as I mentioned, inside I know the status quo has been changed. It's been changed for the better, but that also means in the next episode too, it's going to get shaken again. Because why would you set up such a good status quo if you're not going to rip it out? It's going to be heartbreaking. I'm predicting it already. But that's probably what they're going to do to really show how bad the Empire is. Not only do they know, because in the last 2 episodes ago with the Zero Beast, a village minding their own business was all arrested because they witnessed the Zero Beast. So this episode, now, we see another village, peaceful living, has no reason for the Empire to bother them. But if the Empire comes, they're going to just come and take over. It's just going to be what happens. But I have a feeling, that could also help motivate the Batch to fight the Empire. See all these different possibilities? But the heart of this episode, the truly most important part of this episode, in my opinion, is this. The Batch, especially Hunter, are realizing that we can't always be on the run. We need a sense of community, especially for Omega. She's a child still. She needs to grow up, be around kids her age. Like, they're all realizing that. And also showing that they can be more than just soldiers or mercenaries for hire. Like, you can definitely tell. Fee has been flirting with Tech, which, by the way, Record picks up on. Not Tech, Record just picks up on. And kind of makes light of it with Tech, which that might be nice to include Tech in. But you can definitely tell in this episode, Tech is, I think, finally realizing that Fee is flirting with him. And you can definitely tell. He does enjoy her company. But does he really understand what's going on yet? I don't know. But I do kind of want somebody, probably Omega, to actually have a conversation with Tech about that to help him process his feelings. Because remember, back in The Crossing, Tech and Omega had that moment where Tech admitted to Omega that he still has feelings, just doesn't process them the same as her. So that means she's the one we've seen on screen, at least, that has had the most conversations with Tech about his different understanding of emotions and all that. So that would set up, meaning if Tech needs to talk to somebody about it, or someone brings it to his attention, like truly bringing to attention not a playful manner, it would be amazing because of what was set up a couple of episodes ago. But I think I'm going to end that there. I've talked about the episode, I've talked about what this episode could be setting up, and probably the tragedy that will be coming because of all the good that was set up in this episode. Because I have a feeling they're just going to rip the out from under us. But you know what? It was a good episode. That's the important part. This was a good episode. A very important episode. An episode basically that gave the Batch time to reset their mental health batteries. Got a moment to relax, but also got to help others again and truly help others and see the results of their help. Because the last time they truly tried to help somebody who was, not actively fighting the Empire, well, it was because they accidentally caused it, and it was not successful because the Empire came in. The Little Beast episode. But this is the first episode where they've just helped a community and felt welcomed by that community at the same time. It was perfect. Oh, and you know what also was just a good another moment of the episode? There was a moment where Riker actually said that for the first time in his life, he's full. And Tech goes, let me make a note of the date and time so we can commemorate this moment. Like, just shows how they are brothers. They are a family. That moment, that's just such sibling energy there. But I hope you enjoyed this review. If you did, please be sure to give it a like. Also, let me know in the comment section down below, what did you think of this episode? Let's get a discussion going, and I would love to hear from you. And in the meantime, if you haven't done so already, consider sharing the video and subscribing to the channel as well. And in the meantime, thanks for watching, and as always, have a good day, a good night, wherever you are. May the force be with you, always.